Here's the passage read aloud. What do you do? It's simultaneously the most common and least elegant way to begin a conversation with a stranger. But it sure gets to the rub. Our work permeates our sense of self. Often that begins with our names. If you are an English Smith, a German Schmidt, or an Italian Ferraro, you are just one of many with a brand identity determined by the employment your ancestors took. In the rich countries of the world, where switching jobs is often routine, and opportunities for self-expression and development outside of work are greater than ever before, you might expect this identification with work to be diminishing. Not so. In a 2014 Gallup survey, 55% of U.S. workers said they got a sense of identity from their job, a figure that rises to 70% for college graduates. In an increasingly automated world where the nature of work is in flux, that could present a problem. But it is also an opportunity. Start to unpick the reasons why what we do means so much to us, and the effects it has on us, and we can begin to make work better for all of us. In doing so, it's important to first realize how that work has meant very different things at different times. We have evidence for employer-employee relationships stretching back thousands of years, but the concept of working in a distinct profession for a set number of hours each week is a relatively recent one. Even in medieval Europe, when the rise of differentiated professions led to the invention of surnames, our sense of belonging was more likely to be determined by our family, religion, or the place we lived, says Benjamin Hunnicott, who studies the history of work and leisure at the University of Iowa. It was only with the rise of paid employment in the 19th century that the notion of work as an end in itself and a source of identity begins to crop up, he says. Wind forward to today, and one thing is for sure, work does fill a lot of our lives. Although in rich countries, the average amount of time people work each year has declined over the past half-century, from around 2,100 hours in 1960 to below 1,600 hours in 2005, according to a 2011 OECD report, factors such as the rise in paid leave account for a lot of that. For white-collar workers not on vacation, work dominates. In 2005, the proportion of high-skilled people in the UK working at least 50 hours a week hit 20%. That has since gone down a bit, but an analysis published last year shows that such extreme working hours have been on an overall upward trajectory in the US, Canada, and Europe since 1970. Even when we aren't at work, it can feel like we are. Smartphones mean white-collar workers are connected to their jobs at all times. Modernist distinctions like home office, work-leisure, public-private, and even self-other no longer hold fast, wrote New York University sociologist Dalton Conley in his 2009 book, Elsewhere USA. Since then, the proliferation of mobile technologies means this always-on culture has spread enormously, he says. It's easy to see that as a bad thing for ourselves and our relationships with others. And sure, work can be long, stressful, boring, and just plain hard. But it's not all bad. The miserable effects of unemployment are pretty well documented by social scientists, says David Frayne at Cardiff University, UK. That goes beyond simply the poverty that usually accompanies unemployment. In 2005, Brian Farragher, then at the University of Manchester in the UK, and his colleagues looked at 485 previous studies of the relationship between job satisfaction and health. They showed that people who were happy in their jobs were more likely to be healthy, and in particular were less likely to experience depression, anxiety, or low self-esteem compared with those less satisfied with their jobs. A review carried out for the UK government in 2006 showed that any stress work creates is, on balance, likely to be outweighed by the problems of not having a job.